Happy Sabbath evening, end of the Sabbath, happy end of the Sabbath. I know everyone that observes the Sabbath today, you are more blessed because you are keeping the Sabbath according to the law of God, the 10 Commandments. Because Sunday is never the first day of the week, and Saturday is never the seventh day of the week. Unless in other days where the moon cycle collides with the Saturday Sabbath, we can observe in a year perhaps 2 times, maybe keeping our Sabbath on Saturday, and sometimes keeping our Sabbath on Sunday. But that does not make Sunday to be a Sabbath or make Saturday to be a Sabbath. What makes the Sabbath to be Sabbath is the moon cycle. The moon cycle is something that has to do with the true weekly cycle. And the true weekly cycle is what makes one claim to be keeping God's law. So we are looking at today as the last Sabbath of the 4th month. We are entering the new month, which is beginning this evening as the new moon. There will be no new moon the whole night. There will be no moon tomorrow morning. There will be no moon anywhere in the sky, which is a sign of the beginning of a new month this evening. Now we are starting Ahavi or Avi as the 5th month, Avi as the 5th month, AV as the 6th month in Hebrew. And we are going to look tomorrow in the sky and see that there will be no moon coming. After tomorrow, we are going to see the crescent moon starting there. That means it will give us the first day of the week. That will be on Saturday. It will be our first day of the week. And counting from that particular day, that means if Saturday will be the first day of the week, then meaning that we are going to have 7 days later, giving us the 7th day on Sunday. But Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, giving us the 7th day on Friday. Let's see. If Saturday is the first day of the week, it means Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It will be our 7th day, Sabbath, meaning that you are going to add another day. It will be a Friday. So if again on the next month, if we have again on that moon cycle, we have only one new moon, then Saturday will be our Sabbath in the 6th month. So I want to believe that as long as God gives us the guidelines and the understanding of His will, we will continue observing the Sabbath according to creational calendar and according to God's instruction. So reading on today's topic, which is the 32nd. There was an error here. We find that I've done, I have to correct it. The 32nd day of the month. This will give us a title called God Seeks Leadership Instructed by His Law. I've been talking about the sun being the true light of God, representing God Himself, representing the church, and the moon as a lesser light, representing leadership that is mounted in the truth of God. So now we are looking at Romans chapter 2, verse 18. And it says, and he knoweth his will, and he approveth the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law. So a leader that knows the will of God, a leader that approveth all things that are excellent, that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law. So, when we are calling for leadership to seek for prayers, it is leadership that needs to be instructed by God. Sorry, I'm covering my legs. The season is too cold. So I want to believe that whatever the case, we are actually in a cloth of sackcloth. So putting everything possible to warm myself. So I want to say we are looking into leadership that is instructed, that knows the will of God. Leadership that approveth all things. We don't need a leader that accepts every human rights and say it is okay. We don't need a leader that accepts bribes such as donor aid, grants, and so forth, flash funds, presidential flash funds given to a president. A president must approve all things, meaning that we don't want to depend on donor aid. We want to depend on our natural resources. Leaders must insist that a country must be depending on donor aid. If a country depends on donor aid, what does that mean? It means a country lives in accordance to the will of God. If a country does not depend on donor aid, it lives according to the will of God. I say the first sign of true national leadership and true worshippers is one that admits the law of the Ten Commandments as good. Wherefore, the law is holy, and the commandment holy and just and good. Romans 7 verse 12. If a leader does not accept the law as good, you should know that leader is not a leader that fears God. If a leader approves what is approves Satan worship or Freemason worship, you know that that leader is against God. Why do president and all in authority and the world churches stand against God's law, the laws of God, by legalizing drugs when God says thou shalt not kill? That is Exodus chapter 20 verse 13. Why do leaders legalize the use of drugs? We see the streets, they are full of people who are called nyaupes. In Zambia, they call them, which name is that? I've just forgotten the name. They are called with different names. So that name, I think I'll remember it as I go. But as much as I'm concerned that we know for sure that the junkies, in Zambia they call them the junkies. So why are they called junkies? Because they are found under the tunnels, on the street, injecting each other, exchanging injection with blood. They buy, let's say, crystal. Crystal is a drug that intoxicates someone, that drugs someone. And they say they use crystal if they want to go and steal. I interacted with them when I was actually in Kosimampuru. I got certain notes which I think if I can find them, I'll be able to memorize what they were telling me. You know, crystal is a drug which they use to be accurate in stealing, to be accurate in doing everything. Even when they are working, they are very strong. You can't work with a person that smokes crystal. But today you start crystal with 20 rand. Tomorrow you need, a month later you increase from 20 rand to 50 rand. A month later you increase from 50 rand to 100 rand. They are saying as you continue using it, the demand of crystal in your body becomes more and more. Even if you are rich, you are going to be using crystal in an abundance of even 1,000 in a single day. Even more than that, the other drugs which you also need, you are going to be even spending 5,000 in a single day for you to be normal. Without crystal in your body, you can't be normal. So this is the reason why people end up stealing, end up even killing people in order for them to sustain the crystal demands. Even those who are rich, they were telling me of a lawyer who is in somewhere who actually began crystal bit by bit. By the end of the day, his law firm was closed. His house was sold in order for him to buy that crystal, in order for him to have life. So now, I don't know if I could ask to say, if this question says, why do the authorities allow drugs in the community? Because police officers, they pass by the roadside seeing those people dragging themselves with these crystal drugs. They can't arrest them. They can't stop it. They only arrest the one who is selling. They can't attend to the ones that are being dragged. And those who are sold, those who are selling, they don't arrest them there and there. They would leave them to drag the whole community. They arrest him, then they release him on bail. He continues to sell the same drugs. So why do the authority allow these drugs? We find that when you make your good analysis, you find that the drugs are being allowed in order to create Africa to be dependent on the drugs, so that when children are dragged, the leaders who are supposed to be future leaders, they have found that they are all zombies. They can't do anything. They only do is to work and die. Work and die. Buy them crystal, they work extremely high. And when they work extremely high, then after that they die. I remember the time when I was hiring others for animal dung at the garden or at the farm, because if I say a farm, a garden is a small thing on my backyard. At the farm, because I was filling a truck maybe 3 times load, taking it there. So these boys, when I hired them, they said, please, can you give us deposit? We cannot work without a deposit. Then I gave them deposit. Then I saw them coming. Say, what are you buying? I know we are buying this. This is our food. If we cannot use crystal, we cannot work. And they were filling the truck like no man's business. They could fill the truck without resting. But it is to their destruction. They are actually even confessing that these things, they are destroying us. We can't live without them. And once you start, you can't stop. So if you have a child, tell a child to say, it is wrong to subject yourself to drugs, because you are being killed before you can offer your leadership skills. Here we find that I wrote to say, yes, when drugs are legalized, the church is silent. The SDA church has never campaigned against the use of drugs. Even the General Conference of the SDA church, they have never given a statement, and they have never raised to fight drugs. The crusade, which they are conducting, the 40 days crusade, they are actually doing it to oppose what I'm preaching. Me, I'm standing against economical crisis. Them, they are doing crusade in order to increase customers for tithe, to rob people from their earnings by using a doctrine which does not stand the test of time. And Christ never preached that his followers must give tithe. He preached that we must give alms and offering. I believe we are going to look into this in the days to come. So I said that means it supports the legislation. When the church is silent, it supports the legislation of what? Of drugs. Who does not know that drugs can kill? If smoking marijuana is medicine, The sick must go to the hospital and get a subscription in order to avoid destroying the young generation through smoking. Yes, teachers and parents will remain under constant threat from their daga or nyaupe drugs smoking children because they have the right to smoke drugs. Furthermore, why do people demand rights that profane God? This world has reached the apex that led to Noah's generation. Let me quote. This is Genesis chapter 6 verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of men was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis chapter 6 verse 5. We have a disruption of electricity. I hope it's, yeah, thank you, it has returned. We must know that there is no single person above God, for there is no respect of person with God. For there is no respect of person with God. For as men as have sinned without the law shall also perish without the law. As men as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law. Romans chapter 2 verse 11 verse 16. I want to assure you to say, the law of God is what justifies every doer of the law. Even the Gentiles that have no law, they do things that are contained in the law. They know that killing is a sin. They know that adultery is a sin. They know that lies is a sin. They know that there is God who needs to be worshipped. So the 10 Commandments, whether it is written or it is not written, it applies as a moral law. And every leader that goes against the law of God in supporting the human right, in allowing children to be dragged, they are against God's law, because drugs, they kill. Even alcohol, it kills. When we talk about the drugs, it's a wide range that involves everything that is eaten that kills us. The beer that is drunk for no reason, it is also a sin against God. We have also what we call energy drinks. Energy drinks, if taken as a mode of just a normal drink, it can kill you. And you must know that anything that is good, if used wrongly, it kills. I'm one person that uses energy drink during the time when I'm writing books, because sometimes I have a message that is so urgent. I just need to ease my mind from stress and from sleep. I'll take a little of energy drink here and there. If I'm driving a long distance, I'll take energy drink to avoid sleep. But I should not use energy drink as a means of life, as a drink that is a normal drink, because it has caffeine, high caffeine contents, which can destroy your mind, can destroy your system. So people who may understand what I'm talking about, we must know to say the law of God is quite broad. It says when you know to do good, failure to do it is what? Is a sin. So anything that you eat, you must know to say, this that I'm eating, it has side effects. It must be eaten in order. We are not I'm not going to teach as Ellen White taught, to say those who drink Coca-Cola. I don't know whether it's Ellen White or it was just taught by the Seventh Day to say these things, what you eat, if you eat nyama or flesh, you won't inherit the kingdom of heaven. If you drink Coca-Cola, you won't inherit the kingdom of heaven. I think they are reading the Bible upside down, or the Holy Book upside down. Because when you read the scripture, alcohol, at times it is allowed to take when you have stomach pains. That is the reason why when we have Panadol, why do we have Panadol? We have Panadol, it's caffeine to ease our what? Our veins from bursting, from stress, from pain. You take a bit of caffeine. So a regularized caffeine, it must be used for a purpose, not drinking alcohol as regularized. Alcohol was allowed before the New Testament. In the New Testament, we are told the bishop must not take liquor, wine, strong wine, because we have experiences of Noah becoming naked in the presence of his children, which is an abomination. So now, certain things must be taught amicably. We should not take anything that kills out of just curiosity or pleasure, but we should always mind what we eat. The drugged nation is a nation that cannot stand the test of God. The drugged nation is a nation that cannot have a good leadership. So we must know that drugs are being allowed to destroy Africa in order for the whites to loot our natural resources. For foreigners, of course foreigners, I don't mean our fellow black people, I mean foreigners. I want to thank you for giving me this time to share with you this message. This is the time that I'm actually breaking my fast. Being a Sabbath today, we've been fasting, and I'm breaking my fast, and I hope you are also breaking your fast. And it is important to know that fasting on our Sabbath is a matter of commitment, that God can intervene in your problem, in your family challenge, in the problem of the nations that are not willing to listen to God's word. President Hakainde Hichilema, pray for him. President Cyril Ramaphosa, he needs our urgent prayers. All the presidents in Africa, they need our prayers. And mainly, Traoré, who is hunted by France and America because of him showing us the roadmap to freedom. Let's not remember every night when you sleep, remember him. Julius Malema, remember him too. Also, Kasonde Mwenda, who is the EFF leader, remember him so. He's growing. I'm not there for numbers. I'm there for what he's standing for. And it is my prayer that may he avail himself for a life-changing prayer, not accepting the message only, but also prayer, because it is the strength. My prayer is not attached to any miracle powers. No, it is attached to the power of God. It is attached to the will of God, who has told me all what is happening today. May God bless you in this 90 days prayer meeting for National Revolution of Africa. The Sabbath is over. We are beginning the first day of the week this evening. We are beginning actually the first day of the month. After the new moon has risen, then we began the first day of the week. I hope, let me explain further for some of you who are just joining us. When God created, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, when God created the earth, there was darkness covering. The earth was void. When someone says the earth was void, the earth and the heavens were void, meaning that they were in appearance, but in darkness. They had no shape. It was a period of time. Sorry, you can see my rack. It's because I'm putting on sackcloth. I put everything that can make me warm. I'm putting on rags because I'm mourning. It's my time for fasting. It's not my time for me to put a suit. It's my time for me to put a sackcloth. I wish I had enough sackcloth to make a nice jacket also of sackcloth, and a tie also of sackcloth, and stockings to my shoes of sackcloth. But that will be provided in the near future. I want to thank you to say I'm explaining about the creation. When the creation began, darkness had covered on earth, and the earth had no void, and the Spirit of God was hovering on earth. Before the counting of hours, before the counting of days, of not days, but of weekly cycle, before the counting of weekly cycle. Verse 3, 4 to 5, God saw that what he had created was darkness. Then verse 3, he commanded light to be there. Then when he looked at light, he was happy to see light. Then the evening after the light and the morning were the first day. There is a darkness which was not part of the evening after the creation of what? Of light. I hope you are following. There was darkness, which the Spirit was hovering in darkness, and water was already there, which was not there, which when light was not there. So this creation of light made a difference, a cut of the darkness. And the light which was there after the creation of the earth was followed by evening. You know what brings the evening? Is the settling of light, which is, we have again the darkness. I'm actually explaining the darkness. When darkness, there's no sun, it tells us to say the evening that came, it came after the setting of the light that was created. So the evening and the morning, that means the rising of the sun, created the first day of the week. That means the first day of the week was created after the first light that was created after the darkness. So that's the reason why now when we say the light, when darkness came, it says there, let there be light. I believe this lighting system today was demonstrating actually what I'm trying to say. We saw darkness. I was in darkness. I had no form. You could not see me completely. That is how it was at creation. And when light, as we have seen light coming, it created the first part of light, which made the first evening when it sat, when darkness came, the evening and the morning was the first day. So meaning that the first darkness and the first light which was created, it was not part of the first day. So this is where the new moon is not counted among the weekly cycle. We find this scripture from Ezekiel 46 verse 1. Ezekiel 46 verse 1, when you read it, 6 working days, they are followed by a Sabbath on the 7th day. Then after the Sabbath on the 2nd day, it is followed by the new moon, which comes on the after the Sabbath, or like this one. We are on a Sabbath today, which is followed by the new moon. So the Sabbath is followed by the new moon. So now, this new moon is not counted. It was a resting day. It was a day of worship. It was a day of celebrating of the new moon. It was not part of the seventh day. It was not part of the weekly cycle. So the new moon day is a restarting point of time. The darkness is covering. As you saw the light, when light is covering, when there's no light, it is not called a day. When there's no moonlight, it is not counted as a working day. So the moonlight that will come after tomorrow, it will be evening, and the morning, the first day of the week. I don't know if you have understood, because it took me time for me to understand God on that prophecy. It really took time for me to understand when I had that vision in 2008. It took me until 2020. That's when I came to understand 12 years later. So for you, I've taken it upon myself for the 90 days. I'll be teaching, following the moon cycle, so that you can understand. The first time we started keeping the Sabbath on the moon cycle, we could get confused. On a Saturday, we could feel we should just worship on Saturday because we are used to worship on Saturday as the seventh day. But today, I want to tell you to say, we are more than happy to worship God on a moon cycle. It is actually interesting to follow the weekly cycle based on the moon. May God bless you as we continue to learn. Amen.